In 1966, Master Zheng Yan stumbled upon a puddle of blood in a clinic in Hualien, eastern Taiwan. She was told that it was left behind by a woman who had a miscarriage. The woman was not admitted by the clinic because she could not afford to pay the initial deposit of 8,000 Taiwanese dollars and had to be taken away by her family. Upon seeing this, Master Zheng Yan made a vow right then to help the poor and the sick in eastern Taiwan through fundraising. Master Zheng Yan asked her 6 disciples to make an extra pair of baby shoes a day and appealed to her 30 members to save 50 cents a day from their grocery expense so that the extra money can be put together and used as a charity fund. This marks the beginning of the Buddhist Tzu-Chi Foundation and its work in charity, which aims to help the poor and educate the rich. In 1990, Tzu-Chi Commissioner Li Shi ran into Mr. and Mrs. Huang Dingling on a trip to visit her son. Thereafter, she continued this friendship by sending Mr. Huang Tzu-Chi publications as well as audio tapes of Master Zheng Yan's teachings. Master Zheng Yan's wise words touched Mr. Huang deeply. He started thinking about the possibilities of promoting Tzu-Chi's mission and philosophy in South Africa. On 26th of January 1992, the Tzu-Chi Liaison Office in South Africa was officially opened at Mr. Huang's residence, with Mr. Wu Guorong being the person in charge. Tzu-Chi's charity work in Johannesburg began with a visit to the Hong Ning Old Age Home in February, which marked the beginning of Tzu-Chi's involvement in community service in South Africa. As charity can only be achieved through joint effort, various presentations were held in order for people to understand and familiarize with the Tzu-Chi mission based on Buddha's spirit of compassion sees no boundaries, sympathy and empathy towards all others. The seed of Tzu-Chi have crossed the equator and landed onto the southern tip of Africa. From this one single beginning, millions of seeds were born. Tzu-Chi's 4 missions, charity, medicine, education and humanity, have gradually expanded throughout South Africa, and its humanitarian work will never end. In order for the poor to survive the winter, in March 1995, South African Tzu-Chi Foundation shipped 15 containers of donated clothes from Taiwan. In April, these clothes were distributed to 11,846 households in Ladysmith, Durban, Johannesburg, East London, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, Swaziland, and Lesotho. All the planning that went into the distribution, preparation, assessment of recipients' eligibility, and compilation of name lists were done according to the principles of directness, priority, and respect. The very act of handing the donation directly to the most needed demonstrates utmost respect between fellow human beings. This display of devotion and commitment touched many volunteers who participated in the countrywide distributions. The foundation of further Tzu-Chi development was, therefore, firmly established. Many of those volunteers are now experienced Tzu-Chi commissioners. Durban Tzu-Chi chapter believes that distributing donated goods is not the ultimate solution to the problem of poverty. Therefore, with the assistance of Gladys Ngema, who was deeply moved by the distribution of clothes, the Tzu-Chi members were able to set up skill training centers. In the past 8 years, more than 500 centers and sewing groups were established, empowering more than 14,000 Zulu women. In so doing, thousands of families have become financially independent and require no further material assistance. The widespread of HIV/AIDS has worsened the situation for many poverty-stricken families. In the past decade or so, Tzu-Chi members have gone to various remote villages to visit the sick and poor, giving them care and encouragement, and on top of that, inspiring local women to partake in the volunteer work. A local volunteer in Durban, Mavis, was one of them. Although diagnosed with HIV, she committed herself in the work of Tzu-Chi with a strong will and encouraged other HIV-positive people by sharing her own life story. Her dedication to Tzu-Chi continued till her last breath. She hoped that all the volunteers in her family and community could carry on with the Tzu-Chi mission. After she vowed to belong to Tzu-Chi for her many lives to come, she passed away from her illness in peace and dignity in the prayers by her friends and family. The presence of bodhisattvas lies in the fact that living beings are suffering. Tzu-Chi members vowed to alleviate all sufferings across all borders with the motto, "Where there is suffering, there is Tzu-Chi." In Alexander, Johannesburg, the lowland formation causes great distress for the local people during the rainy seasons. The February 2000 flood in the area made hundreds of people homeless. The Johannesburg Tzu-Chi headed for immediate relief and decided to build a complex named Home of Great Love for the locals. After months of fundraising and construction, the homes were completed on the 11th of August. On the same day, 69 housewarming gifts were given to the future residents by joyful Tzu-Chi members. Upon seeing the houses before them, smiles of happiness and wholehearted appreciation appeared on all recipients' faces. On the 5th of February 2006, fire rampaged through the town of Zandspruit. The Tzu-Chi in Johannesburg again headed for immediate relief. Not only blankets, jerseys, socks and other warm clothing were handed out to the victims. An open kitchen was also set up. Dinner was prepared for the next 2 weeks. Together, Zandspruit was well underway on the road to recovery. Local reporters were deeply moved by the Tzu-Chi's spirit of great love, and a series of media coverage on the effort soon followed. The pace of carrying out the Tzu-Chi mission never slowed down. The work included regular visits to orphanages, old age homes, Home for the Disabled and other charity organizations, goods distribution and relief in areas like Bloemfontein and Lesotho, night distribution in Johannesburg, and care for HIV/AIDS patients in Pretoria. These selfless contributions are the result of love and compassion. Out of the 4 major sufferings in life, sickness creates the most pain. With this belief in mind, Tzu-Chi members in South Africa set up free clinics in the black communities to heal the sick. In the case of Marathon in Johannesburg, Tzu-Chi members offered door-to-door medical assistance. While the doctors treat the patients, the volunteers provide emotional support. The Tzu-Chi volunteers regularly visit the DEUR, the home for mentally challenged and physically disabled children. After several visits, it was found that the aiding equipment caused inconvenience of movement for the children and stunted their physical growth. The Tzu-Chi volunteers exercised creativity and tailored the aiding equipment to fit the children. This is the combined result of love and patience. The Tzu-Chi medical mission began in Taiwan and extended into the African continent. Footprints of these individuals can be seen in the dark corners of the black communities where crime is most rampant. In Ladysmith, mud huts are usually the doorway to knowledge for the local children. Those huts, however, are unable to keep out the rain and wind, which ultimately disrupt the classes. The Tzu-Chi chapter in Ladysmith decided to build proper classrooms to facilitate a better learning environment. After all, the future lies in the hands of our children. The Tzu-Chi members hope that, with proper education, the state of poverty may be improved in the less fortunate communities in the long run. Apart from providing the buildings and teaching equipment, Tzu-Chi prioritizes the education of humanity. Therefore, the members frequently visit the Tzu-Chi schools, and through the teachings of still-thought aphorisms and songs from Tzu-Chi, the learners are able to develop the spirit of appreciation, respect, and love. It is hoped that by implementing the education of humanity, the essence of goodness can be spread out in the African continent for generations to come. In the field of education, the South African Tzu-Chi chapter places more emphasis on spiritual growth. Tzu-Chi members in Johannesburg have been promoting in the black communities, involving the residents in clean-up operations in their neighborhood. Tzu-Chi members and youths in Durban and Port Elizabeth organize regular beach clean-up projects, hoping to inspire environmental consciousness and in turn cultivate spirituality. The children's achievement classes, which are held every month in Pretoria and Durban, are based on the themes of life skills and Tzu-Chi etiquette. The aim is to create wholesome, caring little angels. The Tzu-Chi members in Durban have been involved in teaching humanity classes in local primary schools. Master Zheng Yan's still thoughts aphorisms form part of the teaching material, which helps develop the learner's knowledge and wisdom. It is done in the hope that the legacy of the humanitarian spirit can be passed on to others by these children. After the September 11th incident, the Master felt the need to awaken human consciousness, as all forms of disasters, natural or man-made, come from the human mind. The only way to bring peace to the society is through the purification of the human heart. She called upon Tzu-Chi people across the globe to start a series of Freeing from Disasters by Cultivating Kindness movement. In order to inspire the goodness in people, the Tzu-Chi members in South Africa hosted various Spread the Seeds of Love events in the local communities, particularly in the black townships. The idea is to promote the spirit of great love and compassion in the hope to ease the racial tension and minimize political conflicts. In 2005, the Tzu-Chi members in Johannesburg held a sign language musical, The Sutra of Profound Gratitude to Parents. The musical centered on the theme of parental devotion and filial piety. The audience was moved by the performance, and many have come to realize the true meaning of love and appreciation for their parents. Master Zheng Yan hoped that the Tzu-Chi members could be living bodhisattvas by practicing wisdom and compassion. The Tzu-Chi members organize regular training programs for commissioners in training, as well as study sessions based on materials from the Master's writing. The aim is to put Master's teaching into practice. It is through internalizing contentment, appreciation, understanding, and acceptance that our spiritual life may be improved. By unity, harmony, mutual love, and concerted effort, Tzu-Chi members hope to promote the missions of Tzu-Chi and walk the path of bodhisattvas together. Master Zheng Yan's vow is to relieve all sufferings and cultivate spiritual well-being. The Tzu-Chi members are committed to such mission and work tirelessly to spread the love and to create a world of kindness and compassion.